let's go, because you know what I came here to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
Yes, it was very scathing. I'll leave a link in the description box. It's time-stamped. And basically, Dominic Ingle shit all over Ben Whitaker. Now, me, myself, I was in two minds about the showboating against an opponent of that level, Jordan Grant. I think the problem is comparing Ben Whitaker to Nas and comparing boxing to when Nas turned pro in the early 90s. I went on BoxRec and Nas fought 6 times in his first year as a pro in 1992. And although Dominic said, oh, he fought on low-key small hall cards, so it's a bit different to Ben Whitaker coming out like he's already a superstar, showboating. No, NASEEM fought on a Chris Eubank WBO super middleweight title defense undercard. He fought on one of them on his second fight, and in the third fight he fought on a Nigel Benn undercard against Thulani Malinga, where Ben was a bit fortunate to get the decision, to be honest. You know, Chris Pratt was on that card. But the thing was, hate Nas or love Nas, it was consistent entertainment. We didn't see him once a year or twice a year, then he's trying to bamboozle us with showboating. No, it was consistent. So after a time, it's like a lot of people who didn't like Nas, they were like, well, okay, you know, he provides regular entertainment. One thing Dominic is going to be in denial about, but Dominic, I got the receipts right here. And Naseem Hamed can try and deny it, and he has tried to deny it. You see Dominic saying, well, Nas invented all this himself, the flashy persona. No. Chris Eubank used to mentor Naseem, and they fell out in the airport over some madness and had a little scuffle. Naseem learned a lot of his shit from Chris Eubank. Naseem used to vault over the top ropes, yeah? Well, who done that first? Naseem claimed he did it first, and Chris stole from him. When there are pictures online of Naseem watching and celebrating as he watches Chris knock out Dos Santos in one round. Naseem's in the crowd. And there you can see my screenshot of Chris vaulting the ropes, 1990. Now, you tell me this, Nas, right? You're in the crowd celebrating as Eubank knocks out Dos Santos. I can't get the photo of Naseem, but I don't need it, right? The Eubank fight was in 1990. Nas was 16 years old. So is he saying he was vaulting over the top rope in amateur fights at 16 and younger? I don't think so, Nas. And if he was, Chris Eubank weren't there watching you. Nas turns pro in 1992. But you're telling me that Chris Eubank stole from you? So what, Chris Eubank went to one of your amateur shows and you vaulted over the ropes? You can't do that in amateur boxing for a start. The ABA, as it was known back then, would not allow that. You couldn't do that. They were very strict on conduct, and you weren't coming out there doing a whole load of showboating. No amateur boxer. Not in this country. I will say, though, Naseem's vaults were better than Chris's. Nas is a very special sporting icon from this country. I don't think people would understand. I know he was huge in America, with certain sections of America. But over here, for a featherweight, there was nothing like Naseem Hamed. There was nothing like Naseem Hamed, and probably never will be. Naseem actually turned pro at Superfly Junior Bantam, around that weight, around 114, 115, then developed into a full featherweight. So the interviewer basically got someone who knows every step of Naseem's career, because Dominic Ingle's dad is Brendan Ingle, and Dominic was right there when it was all happening. And to hear Ben Whitaker comparing himself to Naseem, it's just rubbing Dominic all the type wrong ways. Probably Johnny Nelson as well. Well, they can't say nothing because he works for Sky. But Johnny doesn't like it. He's Winkerbank alumni, bruh. Like, nah. Kell Brook don't like it either. None of them guys like it. You talk to them off camera, nah, not having it, bruh. Ryan Rhodes, nah, not having it. Harold Graham, no. Clifton Mitchell, Clifton would just give you the old school bad man Jamaican stare. Nah.
If you can do that at an higher level, fair play to him, but I don't think he can. You don't give him a chance against, Dan Aziz, Boatsi, Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yard, because he's planning to gate crash that division within the next, say, 5-10 fights.
By the time he gate crashes that the division, they'll have all probably retired. Because he's doing, 4 and 6 rounds, and they're like 10 and 12 round veterans. So, if you said to me now, and if he was that confident about himself, and he's, what age, he's 25, he's had a good amateur career, well, if you think you can do it, jump in with them now and do it. That's the kind of test you have to give yourself. If you think you're that good, then go in and do it. Not another 2 years down the line. How many more stiffs are you going to be knocking over?
Well, in all fairness, the kids come back from injury and they just don't fight as frequently these days anyway. So, whereas Naz fought 6 times in the first year as a pro, I don't think Whitaker is going to pass fight number 5 by the end of this year. I doubt it very much. Even though, he stopped his opponent early and I don't think he got hit. There's no reason why he couldn't be fighting today.
Have you already got a few names on your list that you're aiming for in the division?
Do you know what? Light heavyweight? Under 5 fights I won Dan Aziz. That's some light work. I'll get that title real quick.
He's only had 3 fights since then. That was before his pro debut. So that means within his next 2 fights, he should be fighting Dan Aziz. But nobody's going to hold him to that, except old Mr. Receipts here. When Orley Harrison said something similar in the early part of this millennium, he got held to it. He said he was going to win the British heavyweight title in under 10 fights, I believe. And when it was obvious that wasn't going to happen, he got slated. But these days, clout chasing is just the norm. You don't get held to the words you say. And look, if Ben Shalom is going to stop FRAZER CLARKE from fighting for the British title on a fast track, he's going to do the same to this kid here. But look, okay, let's do this FRAZER CLARKE thing, yeah? When he turned pro early last year, they planned to fast track him. And they were comparing it to Joe Joyce. They're going to get FRAZER CLARKE to world title contention, and they'd be surprised if he hasn't had a world title shot in 4 years of him turning pro. Well, the comparison to Joyce is funny because Joyce isn't at world title level yet, and he just lost his unbeaten record.
FRAZER, congratulations, moved to 4-0, 6 priceless rounds. How do you feel you boxed, and what do you think you're able to show us in there tonight?
I think I've got to show everyone a little bit more repertoire. The 6th round wasn't wanted, the 6th round were needed. I could take a lot from that. People have talked about fast track. You know what? That's proof to myself. I need to take my time.
That was post-fight Sokolowski, and he laboured to a points win. He was critiqued about his physical conditioning. He was gassing after a couple of rounds, and you can hear clearly his confidence has took a hit. Now, forget this fast track. Then his next fight against another, the confidence is back. Him and Ben Shalom.
The big phrase, big truck is rumbling on now. What are your heavyweight plans for him in 2023?
Look, the plan was always British title within 10 fights. British title within 10 fights. FABIO Wardley will come in.
Then after the Bogdan Dinu fight, the British Boxing Board of Control ordered the FABIO Wardley fight. Why? Because 258 management lobbied with the board to make FRAZER the mandatory. Now, how they wasn't on board with Ben Shalom about this decision is something FABIO Wardley was discussing shortly after Ben pulled out the purse bit.
Boxer, Sky, 258, FRAZER, they're all just lost in the mud. No one knows what they want to do. One person wants to go left, one person wants to go right. But also, no one knows who's in charge, who makes the real rules here. I heard that 258 were the ones that first off lobbied the board forward to mandate the fight, but they did that without Boxer and Sky's knowledge. That's weird to not include the whole team in a large decision like that.
You see, when Anthony Joshua was on Sky and 258 never came into conflict like this. But he's gone now. Everything was lovely and everyone got on and worked together. But now AJ chose the zone over Sky. I have to wonder, are 258 a little marginalised over there right now? Coley and Boatsi, they've left 258 since they went over to Sky. FRAZER CLARKE, he could be caught in the middle, but ultimately his contract to box is with Ben Shalom and not 258. I have no proof, but I believe it's a bit of a power struggle, isn't it? I think Ben saw that and said, who are they to fucking lobby the board to mandate the fight? They're not putting up FRAZER's purse. And I can understand Ben's point, if that is the case. But will Ben Whitaker find himself in a similar position that Frazer's in, where 258 and Ben Shalom are just not on the same page in an important decision that could affect Ben Whitaker's career? I don't think 258 did it to say, yeah, we're in charge of the situation. I think they probably heard Ben Shalom saying, yeah, we're going to go after Fabio Wardley, and thought he was on board. If you're going to clout chase, which is what Ben has been doing, clout chase, calling out the Matchroom fighter, the Eddie Hearn fighter, these are the repercussions. And the board, unwittingly and unknowingly, they exposed Ben Shalom by ordering the fight on 258's request.
Then I hear that Frazer's having meetings about the fight and trying to do it different ways, maybe doing it privately aside from purse bids, but without 258 present.
They can try and marginalise 258, maybe because AJ's gone, and they're not happy about that. But that's Frazer Clarke's representation to negotiate the fight for him. But it seems to me Ben doesn't want them involved. Or if not, he's trying to marginalise them in terms of what input they can have on making this fight. That's his management team. I tell you what, man, either Sky are going to get out of boxing or Ben Shalom ain't going to last, because there's a lot of stuff, it either doesn't make sense or they're trying to take absolute liberties. You don't want Frazer Clarke's management around? Why was Frazer thinking of trying to negotiate the fight without his management there? Obviously someone not want him there. And then the offer that Ben Shalom said he made to Fabio, the career highest payday, check the cheek of this.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, they came to with an offer. It was a multi-fight deal, that was the offer. And the first fight on that offer was less than I got paid for my last fight.
You know, Ben's in the public saying this is a career highest payday for Fabio Wardley. How do you know what Fabio's earning? Because he's saying it isn't. And then we're negotiating one fight and you're trying to poach Fabio, although he's a free agent, which Ben never tires of reminding us. You're trying to poach him into this multi-fight deal. You don't make fights like that. And I know some of you are going to say, yes, you do. No, you don't. You'll never get no business done. People are going to say, you're a rat. You're a punk. I'm not going to work with you. That's what will happen. You're negotiating one fight and then you're trying to turn it into a multi-fight deal. I mean, is Frazer Clarke the champion? No. Fabio's the champion. I mean, there hasn't been no articles where Fabio Wardley says, I don't want to work with Eddie no more, or it's going bad with Matchroom. Why are you offering these multi-fight deals? You've already signed Boatsi, Okoli, but they expressed they wanted to leave. Maybe signing all them Matchroom fighters has gone to his head a little. I don't know if there was a period of negotiation. I didn't see nothing about it online. All I saw was a purse bid. And that's what Ben Shalom should have stuck with. You don't have a right to have the fight on Sky, just like Eddie doesn't have a right to have the fight on DAZN. Eddie said, if we lose the purse bid, no problem. Fabio will go over there and take the fight. Why is Ben Shalom making the whole process complicated? This is how we do fights in Britain. British title fights. Some circumstances you might get a period of negotiation and then you get a purse bid. And that's that. It's not even a sophisticated hustle. It's like, okay, you'll get the Frazer Clarke fight 3 fights down the line. But until then, you'll fight for Sky. And Fabio had it like nailed down. You don't want to do the purse bid in a fight that both networks are going to want on their own shit, right? So even at 40%, Frazer Clarke stands to earn a lot of money. But you're trying to do this secret deal with Fabio Wardley and then you pay Frazer what you think he deserves. No. Frazer can get a rate of pay that is determined by how much the networks think the fight is worth. You're trying to screw over Frazer as well by denying him the purse bid. What the fuck is this? Yeah, Fabio broke it down. You're going to offer me a free fight deal, which is a big chunk of money. You could take that free fight deal money and put that in a purse bid. That way Sky is very likely to get the fight and you get Frazer Clarke a great payday. But all Ben is focused on is poaching as much Matchroom fighters as possible. He's not working for Frazer Clarke doing that. You're trying to make a fight for your fighter, a Boxer XX fighter, with a Matchroom fighter, right? You're trying to make this fight, but what are you more concerned with? Getting Frazer Clarke to fight or getting Fabio Wardley over to Boxer? And you know what it is, man? He picked the right fighter in Fabio. He picked the right guy. Fabio is aligned to Dillian. Dillian has never been signed to Matchroom since he's been fighting on Matchroom cards since when, 2015? He's never been signed. Richard Riakporhe wasn't signed. He was affiliated to Dillian. Why was Fabio going to sign to you and tie himself down to this contract when he didn't do that with Eddie? I tell you what, right? They've already got a good quota of Matchroom fighters over there, right? But at this moment, a lot of people are laughing at the guy in the industry. And I don't foresee much more Matchroom fighters going over there. Unless Matchroom just say, look, you want to go? Just go. They just start shipping fighters out they don't want.
So I said to Frazer Clarke, you've got two choices. You either pull out of June 10th and fight us, and if we lose the purse bid, fair enough.
I've been watching boxing in this country for how long now? This is how it's always been. You don't turn a purse bid or a negotiation into, oh, let's try and poach your fighters. You don't do that. Anyway, for those interested, Frazer takes on Harry Armstrong, 6 wins, 3 losses, an 8-rounder on the undercard of Adam Naseem. According to Cali Sowland, Boxer would have the final say if the purse bid was to go through or not. Frazer Clarke is 31 years of age, and if he can't take control of his career, in terms of him wanting to fight for the British title, that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. Right now, Ben Shalom's name is mud. Everyone's saying this is down to Ben Shalom. I'm not going to jump right into that theory there, although it's tempting to. I've seen Bob Arum take the heat for why Chavez Jr. didn't fight Sergio Martinez. I see him do it for Manny Pacquiao when the Crawford fight wasn't made. And Ben Shalom might be taking the heat for Frazer Clarke, because it's always better the promoter get trashed. It's always better because he doesn't go in the ring, and people expect promoters to be of questionable character. So you take the heat, because the only thing worse is to have a boxer with a reputation that he doesn't want to fight, that he doesn't want smoke, that he's ducking fights. That's very hard to sell. But a promoter with the most sullied background, considered a scumbag, can still sell a good fight. You see, Frazer Clarke is quite popular. As an amateur, he competed in the Olympics, bronze medalist. He's been seen around the British circuit quite a lot doing security. And a lot of people would like to believe that, Frazer is of solid standing, he wouldn't duck a fight. But after Ben Shalom undermined him and said...
And there's probably frustration from Frazer where he's like, you know what, why aren't I just jumping in that ring and doing it now? And so I think he's bitten a little bit there. I think the fight will happen, I really do. But it will happen when it's supposed to happen, and it will happen at the right time for Frazer and what we believe.
Frazer was definitely in shock when he himself saw that video. He even tried to say, oh, Eddie Hearn is being slick here, because Eddie Hearn responded to what Ben just said there. And Eddie basically said, Ben Shalom is not backing his fighter. Frazer said, Eddie's trying to make it look like Ben isn't working with me or working for me. But no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And then a little time after, I saw another interview. Frazer was saying, yeah, I definitely want the fight, but I want it on Sky. That just seems like a weird thing to say. You want the fight on Sky? I thought you wanted a British title. Why are these fighters talking about, oh, I want to fight? And it's not clear whether you want to fight for the title or if you want to do some cheerleading for the network you fight on. It's weird. So I'm not sure with Frazer. I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure. My definition of a hungry fighter who wanted that title fight, they'd be saying, I don't give a fuck what network it's on. I just want to take the belt. They may even say, I just want to get paid. But why do you care what network it's on? If the purse bid is made, you'll get paid the amount whatever party won the bid think you're worth. Whether that's your promoter or Eddie Hearn.
It's obviously questioning your character, and obviously people online are thinking this guy's been in the Olympics and Fabio's experience.
Let me stop you. My character can never be questioned, ever. In terms of the interview, Ben said what he said. I spoke to Ben within about 20 minutes of seeing that straight away. And yeah, at the time I was probably a little bit, not even disappointed. I just questioned what he was saying. So there was a little bit.
No, you were disappointed. You were disappointed that Ben put you out there like that, like you're not ready for the fight. Now, there's only a few things to decide. Is Ben, Sky, Boxer, protecting Fabio because they haven't seen the progress in the fights he's had on Sky so far that convinces them that he's ready to challenge Fabio Wardley? Or is Ben, Sky and Boxer dragging Fabio Wardley into these network politics And Fabio is becoming a pawn in whatever rivalry Ben Shalom has with Eddie Hearn. With Fabio Wardley being the champion, he gets 60%. This is an important purse bid. Do Sky and Boxer want to have to give Fabio Wardley a huge chunk of money for a fight where they can't retain his services if he blows their guy out? I think what they was doing was clout chasing, and it's just gone awfully wrong. Awfully wrong. I don't know, Ben just looks a bit out of his depth. This could have lasting damage on Frazer's confidence that he's not getting the support from the promotion company he signed with. And then, the last 24 hours or so, the offer to Fabio Wardley that he ridiculed and then rejected, what was that about? And then pulling Frazer out of the purse bid shortly before it was supposed to go ahead. I mean, the matchroom representative was on his way to Cardiff, where the purse bid was going to be held. It's hard to see how Ben Shalom explains this and convinces anyone that he's handled this well. Boxing fans are denied a fight that they wanted to see. He gets a chance to go up against one of the big boys in a purse bid and backs out. Part 2 coming soon.